healthcare system of our country is disrupted in comparison to a lot of developed countries. Can you give your thoughts on how care management could actually ease out things, particularly in India?
In India, you can get a phlebotomist at home to get your lab test done. In the West, you cannot do that. In the West, you would have to wait months to get that appointment. However, the problems with the ecosystem mainly lie around what is the outcome of any healthcare product or service that a person is consuming. The healthcare outcomes are not monitored. Things are paid out of pocket.
Hello all, this is Animesh Shukla, co-founder and CEO of Startup Story. Today I'm very excited. We have two very special guests with us. We have Ms. Khushbu Agrawal, founder of Zyla Health, and accompanying her we have Mr. Aishwarya Bhaskar, co-founder and CTO at Zyla Health. And today will be a great session. We will be talking on a lot of things related to healthcare and how technology is improving the healthcare sector, care management to a great extent. So welcome both of you. Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Animesh. Pleasure is ours.
Superb, superb. So before moving forward to our discussions and main points, Khushbu, I would like to, know a bit about your journey, how you transformed from, the corporate career to entrepreneurship and, a bit about your history, it would be great to know about it.
Sure. Happy to share. So I'm Khushbu Agrawal. I'm born and brought up in a humble town, Ghaziabad. It's near New Delhi. Was always keen on entrepreneurship. My father built business from scratch with literally 20,000 rupees in his bank account. So as a kid, I always used to get interested in how he's building things, how he's doing things frugally, yet with such impact. I went to BITS Pilani to do my pharmacy honors. I had a terrific 4 years, learned a lot about, again, building things. I was part of this cult group called Hindi Drama Club, where we would have scripted a dozen plays. I would have acted in 20 plus. I think that was where the maximum learning came from, along with academics. I then went on to do my couple of years of consulting with Monitor Group, focused on healthcare, a big project in Vietnam where we worked with the Ministry of Investment and Planning on uplifting certain upcoming provinces there. Did my MBA from IIM Kozhikode in Kerala. So thankfully, I would say both my colleges were based out of villages or not so evolved cities, which led us to really explore our true self. After that, I joined Deloitte for 4 to 5 years for healthcare consulting again. There, I think I had the opportunity to learn about the healthcare ecosystem in depth. So I worked on evolved healthcare markets of the US mainly, where everyone is insured. And we see that insurance drives care for people as the financial incentive of insurance is aligned towards better health, lower hospitalization. So we see a highly patient-centric ecosystem emerging in developed markets, wherein the patient is kept at the center and someone is orchestrating your care end to end. That's what I did with big insurance companies such as Athena, Anthem, Humana. With large pharma companies, we launched life-saving drugs in obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease. Learned both the therapy side of things and the ecosystem side of things. And thereafter, basis of personal incident really, where I've seen my own father's health deteriorate from a chronic condition to a complication, which could have been avoided. Symptoms could have been read in time. He could have been monitored in time. That's where I learned that the skills I had utilized could be well used here. And in 2017, I founded Zyla. Ishwari happens to be a core pillar here too. So very excited to be talking about that today.
Superb. It's a great journey, Khushbu, to know. And coming to Ashwarya, would like to know a bit about your journey also, and how you get in touch with Khushbu and did the concept of that.
Sure, Animesh. I've been born and brought up in Delhi. Even I did my computer science from Delhi University back in 2002, and it's been 2 decades working in the technology space. Initially, I started with a corporate job. I worked in India as well as in US, and some of the companies that I worked for is Semantic, BMC Software, Pikil. So those are the companies. My domain was initially was in storage, then in security and all those stuff. Um, then back in 2017, when one of my friends who was in passed out from Delhi University at that time, he was doing his own startup and he was looking for somebody in the tech background, and that's how we found it. That's how I was also very interested in doing something of my own, and being staying a very long time in the corporate, did a lot of stuff. Even I had a patent on anti-ransomware, a US-based patent on anti-ransomware. So I was thinking of something of my own, and then I met Mohit at that time, and that's where I did my first startup. That was Mirar.io, and it was a part of Mass Talent Success Program in US. And where we built technology. That's again, you've been in a technology space, you always build a technology, and that's where I actually built a platform that was that was more on AI and machine learning, where it can do the virtual try-ons of the jewelries. So jewelries, you can wear it like we are talking here, on the webcam. You can try the jewelries, and we were also doing the analytics so that you can understand the user's behavior, whether that person is liking the jewelry or not, and accordingly, you can the shopkeepers can go ahead and suggest more jewelries on that platform. But then after, the things were very good on the product side, but things were not going very good on the business side, because it was pre-COVID times. People still love to go to the shops rather than going ahead on the virtual space. Uh, so I came back to India, and then I was again thinking of doing something of my own, or doing something else, and that's where I met Khushbu. She has already founded Zyla, and she was looking for somebody who can take the tech things on their hands. So and when I met Khushbu and I talked to her, in fact, something personal also happened to me back in 2016 when my mom was ill. And I went to a doctor in the emergency room, and he asked that, your mom has to go on ventilator. And it was a very terrific time at that time. God, we were able to save her, but the 4 days were, believe me, it was very terrific. You are sitting outside the emergency room and just thinking what happened. And when doctor was coming to you and saying that, these are the symptoms you should have picked up at those times, and those are the knowledge actually is there in the medical domain. It's written everywhere, documented. And being an engineer, and all those things, 100%, you could not pick up those symptoms. It was very, very unfortunate. And so I actually started thinking at that time that there should be some tech, right? There should be some AI, some tech, which can solve those problems, right? And those ideas were germinated at at that time at the emergency room. But then after, again, once I came back to my corporate life, it still remained the same. But when I met Khushbu and the things stacked up like that, those ideas came again back in my mind. And when I talked to her, she had the same things in the mind, that we have to be care management. We have to create, a platform where we are more empathetic towards the patient. And this is one of the things where we can help patients so that they would not be ending up like in emergency rooms, or we can take prior actions which are available already in the knowledge of, of the humanity. So solving those problems really excited me again, and that's how I joined Zyla, and it's being a terrific journey after that.
Great, man. Great. Pleasure listening to your experience. And of course, in India, and most importantly, I think, these cases are very much, and the existing, healthcare sector is not very alert in terms of, taking care of patient and, having a patient-centric environment. So I definitely think it's a great thing. Now, would like to know more about, the vision of Zyla, and it definitely is very kind of promising, and you gave a gist of it, but would like to know in more detail that how the conceptualization of Zyla started.
Sure. So, Animesh, India is known to be the chronic disease capital of the world, right? What we are doing is a necessity. It's not even an option. We have 250 million people living with certain chronic condition, or what we call a long term. We have about 70 million people living with diabetes, another 50 million who are pre-diabetic or undiagnosed. We have more than 50 million people living with a heart disease. More than 5 million of them lose their life every year because of an untimely heart attack, heart failure. A lot of it we are also reading in the news these days, right? What really happens in animation medical science is that there are a lot of biomarkers, there are a lot of symptoms and early signs you can catch, you can treat, you can keep the person's health at bay, and you can ensure that they have a good quality of life. Unfortunately, that layer of care is sort of missing in India. What we see is that the entire ecosystem is driven volume of care, right, towards selling a lot of transactional healthcare services, right? So this ecosystem of healthcare in India, if you're a patient and you walk into a healthcare facility, is driven by a very out of pocket, you have to pay out of pocket to a hospital, a doctor, a pharmacy, a lab test company, which means it is no one's problem how much volume of healthcare is provided to you and whether you're getting better with those services and products you are getting, right? So what we are trying to do here is create an ecosystem, a layer of care which holds the person's hand from the start, understands their health data, their symptoms, their signs, continuously works on improving them, controlling their health so that we can prevent the next hospitalization or complication. For that, we have ensured that our entire mission statement, the KPI of every team member of Zyla, is ingrained towards health outcomes of people. Whatever we do and whatever shape we do, we have to work on improving healthcare outcomes of the person every day. Of course, when we started out, it's a massive problem to solve. It's a very complex ecosystem. We had to ensure that we are able to touch lives of people in a way that we continuously stay in touch with them, understand what they're going through, and intervene. Team have created has done magic, right? We have created a conversational tech. The Zyla platform, the app itself is conversational in nature, as easy as WhatsApp, to understand automatically a lot of things through IoT enablement. It can understand conversations put in by the user smartly and put new data in a longitudinal history format, and then suggest interventions you need to improve your health continuously. As a result, we've been able to showcase tremendous health outcomes in terms of improving people's HbA1c, which is a diabetes biomarker, to their good cholesterol or blood pressure, which are heart biomarkers, to improving their weight and quality of life. We started out on this journey as a direct to customer play, what we call a B2C play. We onboarded users for programs of diabetes, heart disease, women's health issues, pregnancy. Saw that people were really engaging, spending 7+ minutes daily. People were talking to us. People were improving their health. We saw that 70% people were persisting quarter on quarter, paying out of pocket back in the day, right? When we saw this success and we published our outcomes, we got a whole lot of inbound to do it at scale for them. And these ecosystem partners are payers. These are people who pay for health insurance of the person, be it a private insurance company like Aditya Health Insurance or Digit we work with, or a large corporate like Reserve Bank of India, IOCL, Deficiency, and other corporates who we work with, who ensure that since they're paying for hospitalization tomorrow, if they can prevent their hospitalization and keep the person healthy, invest in it today, they actually gain financially, as well as are able to provide a great experience to their customers or employees. So that vision seems to be materializing today, because we are able to do this at scale in a way that the ecosystem is coming together, right? Zyla as a provider is able to deeply integrate with a payer to provide this in a way that the cost for the ecosystem reduces. At the same time, we save lives. We save the next heart attack, we save the next kidney failure or the next hospitalization. And that is the mission statement of Zyla.
Awesome, awesome. It's really great to be having a great team working on this idea, and big congrats from our side to both of you. Moving on to the next question, Khushbu. A lot of startups are coming in healthcare sector, right? And the number is keep growing, either whatever sector they are catering to. So I would like to know how is Zyla different and what are the USPs you are focusing on?
Right. So, Animesh, our philosophy is what differentiates us, honestly, and the philosophy gives birth to the product, the user experience and everything. The philosophy is that we have to improve the health of the individual, right, rather than just selling healthcare, right? So, if you see the healthcare ecosystem in India, uh, it's not a new ecosystem, right? If you see the timeline till 2000s, there was a lot of physical infrastructure which was developing. We saw a lot of hospital chains come about. We saw a lot of pharmacy chains being launched, a lot of diagnostic chains being launched as well. Since 2000, for the next 20 years, we saw a lot of things adapting digitally online. So consultations moved online, lab tests came home, medicine delivery started coming home. Since 2020, the shift is now happening, which we are very happy to sort of pioneer in front end, which is around what does this user need and what should be their care journey? How can we give them the best possible experience? And that is the philosophy Zyla is based upon. We are not trying to sell to the user endlessly, right? We are trying to understand what this user's health data is telling us, digest their data in the most simple manner, and understand what interventions will improve the person's health tomorrow. So the entire evolution of the product that you will see is around how I collect data of the user in a very, very clean format, how I medically codify it, and we use internationally recognized medical coding so that tomorrow I can talk to all ecosystem partners, right? Because Ashwari's data that Zyla is recording should not just be in Zyla language, it should be in a globally acceptable language. The interventions we built out across a four pillar structure of nutrition, exercise, medicine, and meditation is all built in-house at Zyla through our experts, and it's clinically driven. Rather than just saying that, hey, be on a diet, we are suggesting you a nutrition plan which is completely customized on your 300 plus parameters, from your medical history to what sort of food you like, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, you like Bengali food or Bihari food, whether you work in a morning shift or an afternoon or a night shift, whether you like mushrooms or not. It is that level of ingraining because we want to clinically improve your health, and then holding your hand throughout, rather than saying, hey, we give you this and now it's your problem. We actually say that we will hold your hand 24/7. So the conversational platform of Zyla and the Zyla app comes to life as a 24/7 chat engine. So be it 3 a.m., 3 p.m., Diwali or Holi, Zyla is proactively following up with you to ensure you're making progress. And you can ask any query in any language at any time, and Zyla is there to respond within microseconds. We've also, Animesh, created an escalation system for this 24/7 chat support, wherein our chatbot does the first level management, on top of which there's a human care team working in rosters round the clock to handle clinical escalations, medical escalations. So our medical AI technology that Ishwari has given birth to, and he can talk more about, Athena, is the power behind all of this great system. Because of this escalation system from chatbot to human, what we see is that a human care manager is a term we give to this team at Zyla can handle 4,000 patients at scale, compared to a health coach model where you just put a health coach in responsible for a diet for a person and they can handle about 50 to 100 patients at max, and that too not in a very data driven way. So Animesh, the magic happens when you are with Zyla and in the evening Zyla follows up with you saying, Animesh, you complained of headache and this was the intervention suggested. How are you doing now? Is there something I can do for you? And that magic Ashwari has enabled not through just the human team at Zyla, but through his empathetic. So I would say this is the gist of what we do. Of course, there are a lot of layers of it, and the tech Ashwari can talk about.
Awesome, awesome. Without any delay, Aishwarya, I'm just hopping on to you and would like to know more about your artificial intelligence based algorithm and how it's actually changing lives of people.
Sure. So some of the things Khushbu has already mentioned about the personalization engines and other things that we have built. I mean, so it started with the idea of, germinated with the idea when, I was outside the emergency room and we were when I was thinking about how to, create a symptom analyzer or symptoms kinds of things. And then when I met Khushbu and I went ahead and I went through a different patient's life. There are a lot of patients, those who are coming on our platform, and I found that what are the problems that are there. And then we started creating those algorithms which actually can think about, you can say that, I have coded around 50,000 medical protocols in the database. So now, you can have a, a multi-dimensional graph points that is been built. So let's say, I have one point that I have diabetes. Okay, this is one point. Now diabetes is going, let's say, at 7.5 now. That is HbA1c. Now today in my fasting, it was 325. I'm just throwing up some readings, and then I have taken these kinds of medicines. These are the salts of those medicines. So all those things have been coded inside there, and those are all the multi-dimensional graph points that has been meeting up every time. So whenever the patient reports something, all those multi-dimensional graphs mix up, and then it creates an analysis of that patient, and it gives a proper output to the caregiver. So think about it. Whenever you're talking with our algorithm, uh, so initially, 85% of the cases generally is being taken care of by the AI engine or algorithm, which is directly replying to you. Sometimes, even if you say greetings and all, that's been directly replied. And some of the things like how many glasses of water that you should drink because of all the things that's happening. So somebody can have the kidney problem, somebody does not have the kidney problems. Accordingly, the glasses of the water that you should do. These are the simple questions that should be handled by the tech rather than the humans are handling it. So those are the things. The algorithms are already being coded now. Those are the points that already been met, and the algorithms gives you a 99% accuracy that these are the things that should be given. So you reply it accordingly. And whenever the algorithms gives the analysis of something, and it gives you a caregiver about, let's say the case got complicated after I have taken these days, this is something that's happening now. I am having a panic attack or something like this happening. So those are the things that can directly be related to a human caregiver. Now a caregiver already have an analysis of the data from their old data. Already caregiver has already the analysis of that data. Now caregiver can actually understand the data very fast and reply it to that person. So think about it. You went to a doctor. I'm just giving an example so that you can understand this. So think about, you went to a doctor. Doctor given you a prescription about whatever according to the test and all those things. He has given you a prescription. Now after 15 days, you again revisited the same doctor. So doctor the problem is doctor is still a human being. He has to revisit all your history, and then he is going to re-advise you. So if what happens is that what though so whatever the history he's revisiting, if some analysis, some analytics, and AI engine can do that analytics for it and give the doctor a pretty good analysis of, this was the old history, this is presently history, this might be the things that's happening. So doctor get a gist of what is the patient, what about that patient immediately. So he can start treating that patient immediately rather than revisiting the same history again and again and again and again. So that saves the time of the doctor, and that's what the save the time of the caregiver when the caregiver is giving any advice or any things to the patients. And accordingly, we have those algorithms where it escalates to a human caregiver. Then human caregiver of course can escalate to a doctor. We also have doctors in our platform who can talk to it. But the algorithms, how that evolves is that first the AI engine does the work, then AI engine gives a snapshot of what the patient's history from this, a complete analysis of what needs to be taken care of, because the AI engine cannot be a MBBS or MD doctor. They are not been prescribed to give anything, but at least it can give you the analysis, and then the caregiver can talk, and accordingly doctor. So it saves the time of going ahead. I give you analysis on this, analogy on this. That last year when the COVID was in a very high shape, and there was a big pressure on all the health systems. We also got that pressure, and fortunately at that time, this algorithm which we say it as an Athena. So that Athena was already in the beta. And Khushbu and all the people has actually, asked me to put this Athena in beta, whatever we have, put it into production. And we did that. And you won't believe at that time when we are having a pressure over scaled, the things scaled so fast that we were able to, take the pressure from 25,000 or 250,000 very easily with the same medical staff. So that's what the engine is doing for you, because it saves the time. It saves the time of the humans. It's already replying. It's most of the things. It's getting taken care of by the AI, and few things are getting escalated, which is actually needs to be escalated. So that's where actually the beauty of this engine lies.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. It's a really great thing, in which just explain how it has taken, it's drastically taken the amount of patients to a very high number, and with the same amount of staff, the technology has been able to manage it. So it's really great. Now I'm a bit curious to know, Khushbu, that healthcare system of our country is I would say a lot disrupted in comparison to a lot of developed countries, right? So can you give your thoughts on how this particular care management could actually ease out things, particularly in India, and we can be at the level of how developed countries are working?
Right. Thanks, Animesh. Animesh, I would say there are a lot of pros of the healthcare ecosystems in the West. However, there are a lot of pros of the healthcare ecosystems in India too. Right. In India, you can get a phlebotomist at home to get your lab test done. In the West, you cannot do that. In India, you can walk to a gastroenterologist or neurosurgeon the same day in a leading hospital. In the West, you would have to wait months to get that appointment. So some things, in India are very, very approachable and possible. However, the problems with the ecosystem mainly lie around what is the outcome of any healthcare product or service that a person is consuming. The healthcare outcomes are not monitored. Things are paid out of pocket, right? So because I pay for a visit or a transaction on my own, it's no one's financial incentive to track it and to ensure that there was value delivered out of it. So I would say that why we need a Zyla-like system in India is for that very purpose, that we are able to layer where if a patient walks in, we actually deliver value for anything that they consume, right? And that's the reason why we have integrated with insurance and employers very deeply now, because we know that we have to show value to them. So our very promise of we will improve health of people is something which is an output that we have to deliver to our clients, and that makes it a very sustainable sort of a partnership, right? So I would say combining the goodness of India with respect to availability of services on your fingertips, and not just in tier 1 anymore, even in tier 2 and tier 3. I have relatives living in tier 4 cities, ordering medicines online and availing digital health now. If we combine that goodness with an accountable ecosystem where a layer of care is ensuring that people are not misappropriated, that they get what they deserve and their health is improving, and it's integrated well into the ecosystem with the right partners so that the continuity of care is maintained. That's what we are trying to crack basically with that.
Right, got it, got it. This is really great point that both the system have their own pros and cons, but seeing the resources that are present here, Zyla is working great. Now, a very important point is coming, and I would like to ask this to Aishwarya that when we talk about machine learning, we talk about artificial intelligence, we are talking about data and the science behind the data, right? We are working on data sciences. When we are talking about huge chunks of data, then the word, data breaches also comes into the play. And as of now, the web is like very toxic, and data is being traded all around the world. How are you, being a tech-based company, tech-based health management company, are securing the patient's data that is coming to you?
Sure, I think that's a very good question to ask. Uh, so, um, as from my background, you can see that I am coming from a security background, and was with Vakil. And then I also headed a pharmacovigilance boutique company, November Research Group, a US-based company in India. Those who were providing the services to FDA. For that, the data privacy should be at your heart, and that's where we started. I mean, when we were very in the very initial phase also, the data privacy is something that we taken it very seriously. We were being partnered by some of the big cloud partners also, whom algorithms that we are using it for the data privacy. But we are also ISO 27001 and GDPR and HIPAA compliant. We take everything to our heart, and data privacy is something where data is at rest or data is at motion. Everything is encrypted, and we also got the audits done. So data privacy is something where Zyla is doing a great job.
Right. Okay. Perfect. As the data is secure, customers can do trust your brand, and the factor definitely
Yeah, I mean,
increases.
so think about it. I mean, if you talk about something, and the history of the data privacy, I mean, so think, when the internet came back in 2000, so at that time, the people used to give their data pretty easily. I mean, there was no awareness of data, and the data privacy was is something nobody can think about it.
Right.
Everybody used to give the data, and that's how the companies, some of the big giants, has come up to the world, control all the data. But in recent times, right, in the recent times, people started, there are a lot of awareness, and even if there is some policy changes, like even sometimes I remember a year back, there are some policy changes on WhatsApp. There was a lot of hue and cry on those things, right? So the data privacy these days is, everybody understands that that something, how you can manipulate the users from the data and other things. So it should be a DNA of your company, and that's where we have built this company. When I mean, I remember when I just started with Khushbu, I was talking, and she said, data privacy is the DNA of our company, and we will do whatever the best we do. So even those times when we were bootstrapped, we were using AWS and other things as a partner, so that our data privacy stands as secure as somewhere in the US companies of which are HIPAA compliant. And that's how we were pretty easy. We were able to get the GDPR and HIPAA compliant. You go ahead and talk in India, none of the startups would be having HIPAA compliant. It's something really has to, you have to have spend a lot of money to get to that thing done. But if you are building your algorithms from starting from scratch, whenever you are doing it first day, you are actually thinking about data privacy and all those compliance. And it's because that I had my history of building those systems which were in the same thing. So it remained like that, and that's why it was very easy for Zyla to get into those compliance and give
Got it.
those certificates.
And Animesh, that's also the reason why, the bigger giants, we work with companies, large financial insurance institutions, and they have crazy security audits. That's the reason we were able to crack those partnerships and persist on them. I think this is something which is hygiene and has to be taken care of. He's already so deep into security aspects, and we were able to build upon this.
Great, great. Khushbu, coming to you, we have understand a lot of technical points and analytical points of Zyla. I would just like you to explain, if I'm patient and I would like to use your service, what are the steps that I have to follow in order to get connected and get in touch with your services?
Sure. So today, Animesh, two of the top 5 health insurance companies offer Zyla to the users, and the users can avail it directly as part of their policy. Many of the users can avail it. Also, multiple employers. We launched our corporate practice only last year. Today, we're sitting on 100 large corporates who offer Zyla as part of their employee wellness, where we understand the risk cohort of the employee and do very, very personalized care journeys based on what needs to improve in their health. If you're not part of that insurance or corporate setup that offers Zyla, there are 2,000 clinics in the country where doctors prescribe Zyla on the prescription as the patient is walking out, as part of our large pharma partnerships, where we support patients with their disease management. And if that doctor is not in your network, you can download Zyla today. It takes a second to download, create your profile, go through an initial assessment. We'll give you your personalized goals, and we'll give you few interventions right away at no cost. For a few weeks, you can actually chat with Zyla, ask questions that are bothering you, follow your plan, see if it helps you, and if you have any follow-on questions to that. Thereafter, you can pay a small fee for the next 3 months for a care management program as a direct user and avail the benefits of Zyla. So this is just a starting point, Animesh. I would say we're integrating across insurers, employers, doctors, hospitals. We are also available direct to the user, but in the future, in the near future, we want to be the de facto care layer which exists across the ecosystem, and you will get it as part of different benefits that are available to you.
Got it. Got it. Very much clear. Coming to the end, I'm very much interested to know, where do you see Zyla in next 3 to 5 years?
Right. Animesh, the purpose is very simple. We want Zyla to be sitting in every family, every household of India as a de facto health manager, right? So imagine 10 years ago, no one had imagined that we would have Airtel in every home and a phone connection and internet and Netflix in every home. It's become hygiene now. It's become your default connections. It's only surprising that there is no default healthcare connection that every family has, and Zyla will be the de facto healthcare connection. Now, you may get it through your insurance policy, or as I said, through your employer, or when you're getting discharged from a hospital or you're walking out of your doctor's clinic. You may get it as part of advice on your lab report that you've just done. But Zyla will be available to you at every step. And we are integrating Zyla so deeply through APIs across the ecosystem that if you do a lab test, or you order a medicine, or you go to a hospital, or you go to a doctor, or you buy a policy, or you're employed with a certain company, Zyla is able to capture that data seamlessly to create a longitudinal profile and hold your hand through that journey. So it has to be that default healthcare connection that every family has, an image. My purpose personally in life is to delay that next heart attack. When we go to the US and UK and you talk about old age, people say 90 years. When we talk about old age in India, we think 60, 65 max. That has to change. We want the longevity of life with quality of life that we deserve. And we want to ensure that Indians get that quality and that handholding that they deserve. So over the next 3 to 5 years, Zyla would be a household name. Everyone will think of healthcare. They'll think of Zyla. We would continue to have a terrific team as we have today, with a lot of homegrown leaders, people who were with me on this mission 4 years back, including Eshwari, continue to be on this mission. They would have grown as leaders and CXOs in the company. We would see a lot of people living longer lives, happier lives. We would see caregivers and relatives and family members of people sleeping more peacefully because they're not worried that something may happen to mom, dad, or their spouse. So that's the India I imagine with Zyla.
Right, perfect, perfect. It's such a great goal, and in Startup Story Spotlight, we do interact with a lot of founders coming from variety range of different sectors. But personally, purpose-driven startups are unbeatable. Once the every set of person is backed by a purpose, it's totally a magic to see. So it's a pleasure to have both of you here, and it's really great. And our most heartiest wishes are there for Zyla to be successful, and hopefully be in partnership with Startup Story. And would like to have a closing statement for you as of how people should take care of their daily life, and how people's routine are getting distorted using mobiles and laptops, and just advice for all our audience sitting, in which they can just take this advice home and use it in your daily life.
Right. Animesh, I would say time is very valuable, and we're all running against crazy speed, especially in metro cities. That will be your audience, I think, on Startup Story. I would say very important to compartmentalize your day into work, family, and your personal self, right? You have to give time to your body, your mind. You have to give time to your work for sure. You have to give time to your family, and none can be compromised. When you give time to all three, you succeed. You listen to your body well, you listen to symptoms, you're on top of it. When you listen to your family, you're happy and not in guilt, and your family is happy and you're in a very healthy environment. When you do well in your work, you work towards a mission and purpose that is for the larger good. So I think compartmentalizing all three and not missing out on any is the key to success. And I would really urge people to not ignore their mind or their body. Very important to give it time, very important to listen to symptoms, very important to take those breaks in the day to allow your mind and body to heal, because we're running at such pace that we don't have time to heal the body and the mind. And if we don't give it time, then we can't do something exceptional. We may get into the rut and not do exceptional things for the world. So that would be my small token of advice.
Awesome, awesome. Definitely, I think it would help our audience. And with that being said, thank you very much, Khushbu and Ashwar. It was a pleasure having great discussions with you. And thank you to our audience for being with us at Startup Story Spotlight. We will be soon coming up with more exciting founders like this and giving you deeper insights at the startup ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Animesh. I would like to congratulate your venture for taking these stories out to the world, and it will inspire many entrepreneurs in the future to bring about a difference. Thanks to you and your team.